All right, and welcome to my live chat. Hopefully this is working. Let's see. If you guys could see me, say something. Okay, I think it's working. All right. Welcome everybody. It's Saturday. Maybe it's Sunday. Or in a very different time zone than I'm just going to talk a little bit while people pile in. Pile in, everyone. Pile in. Tons of people. And if you can't hear me, please say something. And see what else. Oh, I need to fix this. How did this happen? There we go. Can you hear me? All right, I think we're getting people in. I just need a little bit of feedback here. All right, someone's in. Hell yeah. All right, cool. So I'll just chat a little bit. Okay, thank you, Mr. Tip Top 10. That's a fun name. All right, cool. So always a little nerve-wracking streaming on YouTube. There's always something that's just not working right, and it's not just me who has this issue, but a lot of people. So it's pretty nuts. All right, let's fix this. Let's switch. Let's go over a few little things. So I don't know if you saw my latest video, the one just last Sunday. So every Sunday I've been able to put out a new video. And the last one I did was on massage guns. Basically, I reviewed massage guns and I said a little something about how, they're cool, but practically speaking, I don't really use them much. And as much as I wish I did, uh, they're kind of like whatever. They're really good, but in terms of consistent use, it's like it's just okay, as opposed to a foam roller, which is amazing and I use every day. In my previous video before that was about push-ups, basically how to make your push-ups really good. So if you want to see any of these videos, just go to my website antranik.org and you'll see it easily. And the one before that was very popular. Anything with pull-ups and push-ups are very popular videos. But basically, it was about mantle chin-ups, which are a form of um, uneven or unilateral pulling exercise. It looks like this. The one ring is set up higher than the other, and it makes you super strong. It'll not only get you super strong, it'll build your biceps up, your back, and so forth. So those are the few videos that I've done lately. And other than that, how's everyone doing? I know this is crazy. We're all on lockdown again, and it's weird, guys. Life is just freaking crazy right now. Oh, and this last blog post I made, it says how to add RPE to your workouts to keep them training injury free. This one is a very good little thing that you might find very helpful. So basically, I'll just put the link to this in the chat room. So for easy access, basically RPE is the rate of perceived effort or exertion. It's a scale from like 1 to 10, 10 being the hardest. So at the end of your workout, you should jot down in your training journal, what was the RPE like at the end of all your sets and reps? Did you feel like you had some gas left in the tank? Maybe it was only a 7, or did you like go to absolute failure and it was a 10? You'll notice a trend where if you're stuck on a certain set and rep range or specific number of reps, you might notice that like while the reps are staying the same, the RPE might be going lower, which means it's not, even though your reps are staying the same and you feel like you're in a plateau, that's a little hint that the RPE going lower is a sign that it's getting a little easier. And usually what happens after that, a couple weeks of that being stuck on something, is that that's when the breakthrough happens. So you always have to persevere. All right, so this blog post just basically, tells you a little bit about how to utilize RPE to improve your decision making. And it works really well with the minimal routine. The minimal routine, you just go antranik.org/minimal. I'll put the link to that in the chat. By the way, if you have any questions, I'm only going to be here for about an hour. So if you have any questions, please lay it on me in the chat and I'll get to it. Other than that, in general in life, recently I cleaned up my room. I clean up my room every 3 to 4 months, but man, it is absurd how things pile up. Like, I'm not a hoarder at all, and I can't imagine how bad life would be if I was a hoarder. And I was able to throw away so much stuff and reorganize so many things. Like, I thought my desk was clean, but now it's even cleaner. And you guys, it's always so nice. You feel so good after you clean up your room, get rid of old clothes that you just haven't worn for a year or more. Just an overall, they call it spring cleaning, but like honestly, it should be done like every few months. Every season there should be a big spring cleaning. So when I walk into my room, I see there's almost nothing. My mind is calm. I feel much more at ease. And life is overall better whenever your surroundings are just beautiful, right? So do everything you can in these tough times where in your home, where we are staying in most of the time since a lot of businesses are closed and we can't really go out like normal. You got to make your living quarters as pristine as possible. You got to find time to meditate. Just like wake up in the morning and just meditate for like 10 minutes. And what is meditation really? Honestly, just sit there and don't do anything. Just maybe focus on your breath, let your thoughts go by, and like try not using your phone. Try not looking at any screens. Just tune out for 10 minutes. If you could do more than 10 minutes, even better. But seriously, guys, this is so crucial to just maintain your sanity and your health. All right? So, that was a little something I wanted to share because I recently cleaned up my room. And I do that frequently, but man, it felt really good. I thought I didn't even have much to clean, but honestly, it's so good. Anyway, other than that, I go to the parks, my local parks, to work out. And I've been noticing since COVID-19, since the shutdown, all that stuff that's happened, the parks are fuller than ever. Not just, children's playgrounds or just the general parks. People are walking around so much more, and I love seeing that. I love seeing that the parks are being utilized. So I think I'm going to make a proposal to my local city, to the city council, on the prospect of setting up adult playgrounds in the city, because it's very sad that I don't have access to a pull-up bar. Like there's only 2 pull-up bars in my city. That's crazy. There's a ton of children's playgrounds, but I have to make that little proposal that how healthy it is and beneficial it is for adults to have their own outdoor gym playground area, right? And I think there's no better time than to do it very soon, because now it's very obvious that humans need activity, right? And adults need to play as well. And to stay healthy without gyms, if you don't have access to gyms anymore, it's super crucial that we have these adult playgrounds. So I'm going to make a proposal to my city, and I'm going to try to make a video out of this. Hopefully a video that can catch on so that it could be like a template that everyone could use to present to their own city council to make the case of building adult playgrounds in your own local parks, okay? Like in everyone's local parks. Because it's a shame that adults don't have these amenities, and they don't cost anything. It doesn't cost much to like create pull-up bars and rings. These things don't require much maintenance once you build them, and all they do is that they add value and help their citizens, right? So um, other than that, it's very sad that there are yoga studios that are permanently closing down. So a lot of my favorite yoga studios don't exist right now. If they do exist, they are only offering online classes. And as much as I want to support my teachers and stuff, I've taken the classes and it's just not the same as going to a live yoga studio. This is very sad because like the yoga studios are shutting down, and not just gyms, but I love yoga studios, and I think they've been so beneficial to my health. Just to go in once a month, twice a month, sometimes more. And now that that option doesn't exist and they're closing down, I mean, it's not just the yoga. It's like so many businesses, so many restaurants, so many non-essential businesses. They are hurting. We're gonna go through a purge of some sort, and it's very sad overall. However, this could be a this could be an opportunity. There are opportunities during these times, guys. Like, I mean, people think, oh, everything is shit. But really, if you think about what people need right now and what people are missing in their lives and what's selling, what's not selling, there are a lot of opportunities. And you guys, if you're an entrepreneur or you're looking to do something, you should really think about what is a good opportunity. Because whenever these market cycles happen where a lot of businesses, whenever there's an oversaturation of businesses and a lot of them fail and shut down, it's an opportunity for the strong ones to survive and the new ones to replace the old ones. So I just want to, say that little thing. And the other thing I wanted to talk about is that schools are closed down. So I feel really bad for schools in general, for kids specifically, young kids doing online schooling. So I've only taken, when I'm in my college years, back when online classes were just starting out and it was an experimental thing, I had taken one online class. I hated it. I couldn't stand it. I was like, what's the point of like paying for this tuition when I'm just going to learn everything on my own? So if you're going to school, or if your kids are going to school, I think it's like if all their curriculum is to stare at a screen for 8 hours, first of all, they're not really learning that much. Second of all, not only are they not learning so well, but it's bad for their health. So it's hurting them and they're not learning very much. So that makes me feel like homeschooling is the way to go for the next year if schools are going to continue to be closed. And I know if you have kids, you're going to be much more qualified. My opinion is not as sound, but this is what I see. The social aspect of schooling is probably the best part of school. And now that the social aspect is gone and it's just, you staring at a screen, I mean, this has got to be playing some really bad uh, this is going to have some really bad mental effects on kids, I feel. because they're already glued to their screens and that's normal to them. But now this is just weird. Okay, guys? Like I and I feel really bad. I feel like this whole new generation, they are screwed. The youngest kids are pretty screwed in some ways that we're gonna see later on down the line. This is, I don't know what else to say about that, but I feel for the parents out there. School is largely like a form of babysitting, taking care of the kids for like 10 hours while, the parents go to work, and now that's gone, and now they're doing this online school, and it's tough. I think it's tough for everyone involved. And another thing I want to say, since I mentioned online stuff, so all these kids are going online, right? And they're going on TikTok and Instagram and Twitter and whatever. Anyway, everyone is fake as fuck. Okay, let's just get that out there. Everyone's using filters. Everyone's like, especially women, they're like plastic surgery and Botox and face modifications are like the norm. Okay, it's like nobody has a natural looking, and I guess it's not just women. It's like, and the men, it seems like they're all juiced up on steroids, and I feel like it's just so fake, so much fakeness out there that is just blowing my mind. So how do we counter this? What's the solution? Just be as genuine as possible. Just be as real. Keep things as real as you can. Say exactly what you think, what is exactly on your mind, because that's the only way you're going to be able to stand out from all these people. Everyone's just a follower and a lemming, and just kind of like, if you just do what you think other people should expect of you, you're never going to find who you are, and what, that's not going to make you stand out in any way. And if people follow you and love you, it's because they follow you because of who you are. But if you're just going to be a sellout and make everything fake or a lie, you just end up, like, if you start with one white lie, it just like, you can't keep up with your lies anymore eventually, right? So, you know, just that aspect of everyone just being so fake is very disheartening. And I could see through all the bullshit all the time. So I don't even go on these social media sites as much anymore. It's just weird. Okay, I said it's just weird so many times. And I've been talking a bit, so I'm gonna just check the chat. Oh, cool. We got some questions. Hey, guys. All right, awesome. Leo's asking, should you meditate in the morning or before going to sleep? There is no like good or great or bad time to meditate. You can meditate right now. Maybe after my stream is over, turn off your screens and sit down, lay down, do whatever you want, and close your eyes for 10 minutes and just do nothing. Whether you do that before you sleep, you could do it both, right in the morning. You get up, you're kind of groggy. Okay, before like just going on your phone first thing in the morning, you know, uh, try to stay away from your phone for as long as possible, and just maybe just chill and try not to do nothing, because those are precious times. And if you do that before you sleep, even better. Try to like not get on your phone at least like half an hour or more than an hour. If you avoid like any screens before you sleep for as long as possible, you'll sleep much better. And I've tested this. Like, you might think it doesn't make a difference, and it might not, but if you keep doing it, it does make a difference. So these are very, like, meditation is going to be the only way that we counteract the phone addiction and internet addiction and all this shit. Okay? You have to find peace within yourself. Otherwise, all these distractions are going to play a number on your mind. We're going to be dealing with so much anxiety issues, people having social, what's the word? Like just social anxiety, I guess. I mean, I know like my friend, he has two kids. The youngest one, who's like 5, is already afraid of people. You know, like virus, virus, virus. It's like it's very sad. Okay, some of these kids are growing up in some ways that, and with that said, the parent is not even, you know, giving into the stuff. He's not like fear mongering the kid. It's just natural. The kid is picking up on all this and, you know, getting scared of people at like that at a young age when they should be socializing, you know. Anyway, where was I? Next question. Mr. Tip Top 10 asks, he says, I'm a 46-year-old man. I've been working for months to get flexible, to be able to touch my toes, do the splits and pancake splits, but I can never feel like I'm able to relax into a stretch. Can I still be flexible? Yeah, if you're working on your flexibility, usually, like there's a multiple ways of stretching. Relaxed stretching is one of them, and it usually involves holding a stretch for a long time until you can find relaxation. I personally don't find it very effective or time efficient. Usually, I don't expect myself to relax in a stretch. If I'm going to the end range of motion in a stretch, it is going to be uh, basically, it's going to be met with a contraction because the body's going to say that's the limit, and I don't want to let myself go further because I'm afraid of, I've never been in the range wider than this. So what does the muscle do? It protects itself. It protects the joints by just doing some contraction. It's normal to not be relaxed. As you make little incremental bits of progress with your flexibility, I mean, it's like millimeters at a time, and it might be imperceptible, but if you keep at it, those millimeters add up. Okay? Never give up. You know, don't ever say, can I still be flexible? You can always be flexible. It's just like strength training. If you go work out, I mean, like, let's say you never do any strength training, right? And then and you're so weak, and now you're 46 years old, and now you want to get strong, right? If you just start after a few months, you're going to be much stronger than when you started. And in the beginning, it might not feel like you're getting stronger at all. But if you look back and see where you started, you're going to find, hey, I made a lot of progress. Flexibility training is the same. Doesn't matter what age you start at. What matters is consistency and having a game plan, picking the right stretches that are actually providing a stretch. Okay, if you're in a stretch and you're not feeling like if you're not feeling any challenge, then it's not helpful. But if you're feeling challenged and you're getting to that end range of motion and you're feeling like, okay, this is my limit, and you're trying to push back a little, push a few millimeters past that, that's going to help you a lot. Okay, so just keep at it. And next, Marcus says, you're so right. I would have to drive 45 minutes into the next city to use a calisthenics park here in Germany. It's really sad, isn't it? I mean, take Germany, a developed country, or the United States, or any of these, and like, why are we lacking so sorely in calisthenics parks? And I don't mean like a full-blown muscle beach, you know, with like, you know, parallel bars and pull-up bars and a slackline park and a rope climbing thing and a bunch of rings. Like, that's a dream, right? That would be awesome. And how much would that cost the city? Nothing. Maybe they can have the money to do that from one day from collecting the parking tickets, you know, like the money to build this equipment is minuscule, and the value that could be benefited to their citizens is infinite. It will constantly. There's no maintenance involved with a static pull-up bar or parallel bars. Like these things, once you build them, they're set for decades. It's just metal, non-moving parts, right? So anyway, I hope we can start some sort of movement where we can, just enlighten the city councils of how beneficial calisthenics parks, adult playgrounds, and the sort are. Not just for kids, not just for kids. Kids have playgrounds. That's great, awesome. Kids will play with a stick. Kids will find anything to play with. Humans need this more than the kids. Okay, humans, I mean adults, adult humans need these sort of parks. Okay, so let's move on. Kristen Chong says, "Hi, Antranik. Hope you're doing well. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I'm doing well. I still miss my dog. My dog's passed away. I'm sure you guys saw the video I had made. Just how long has it been now? Where is it? It's here. Saying goodbye to Medax. Oh, she's the cutest. This was let's see, when did I make that video? Saying goodbye to Medax. Oh." This was in October. Okay. So it's been exactly 2 months since she passed away. So, I miss my dog. My girlfriend wants to get another dog, and I don't think I'm ready yet. Yeah, but otherwise, life is all right, guys. Life is all right. Oh, and by the way, so what I'm doing is I am bicycling every day, basically. I commute by bicycle. Maybe it's not practical for you if it's, snowing out there. I know, like, of course, I don't live in a place that has 4 seasons. It's always just kind of either cold in the winter and hot in the summer, but never extremely cold. So I can ride my bike, and like about 3 to 5 times a week, I do. I go to the local park and I work out outdoors. I set up my rings over a tree or another pull-up bar, and I do my upper body work. And so this mix of upper body work using the rings with coupled with bicycling is what keeps me sane and happy and balanced. Okay, and yeah, let me switch this. Cool. Now, Sigve asks, how should I begin when I always never begin? Ah, interesting. I don't know what it's about, but in general, whenever you're having an issue with starting something, break it down to like baby steps. Like, if you think to yourself, if the idea you have in your head is too big, it's like scary or it feels like you'll never get there. But if you just break it down, like, okay, I'm gonna start working out. Okay. If the concept of working out is foreign to you, then it sounds a little daunting. So you have to tell yourself, okay, before I start working out, what do I need to do? I need to like research a little bit or start the minimal routine, which is on my website. Where is it? I'll just go antranik.org/minimal and like do this workout program. It's basically one pushing exercise, one pulling exercise, and do that 3 to 5 times a week. Okay? So there you go. Like that's something you could start. You don't know how to start working out. You have to like go back to a little, break it down, and then fill it out. Make a little schedule for yourself, and just start. And don't tell yourself you don't have time. We all have the same amount of time. We just need to make the time for our priorities. All right? And don't get distracted. Distractions are everywhere these days, trying to take you away from your your full being, if that makes sense. Like you are destined for greatness, And these distractions are just slowing you down. Forget these distractions. Okay? Now, Gbax says, "You're my favorite fitness and wellness channel." Thank you. Thank you so much. Do you have a recommendation for resistance bands? So with resistance bands, there are so many companies now selling so many ones, so many similar ones. A good brand, it's called Rubber Bandits. So it's basically, yeah, just look rubberbandits.com. They also have their products on Amazon. So I'll just link to this in the chat room. Benjamin, there you go. They also are on Amazon. So that's a good company. I know the owner specifically, like personally. I've met him once, and I've tried their products. They're good bands, so I could recommend them. But overall, a lot of these bands are very similar in quality. There's not too much difference, so don't get overwhelmed by all the choices. Just pick the right resistance band set for whatever exercise you need and go for it. VS was asking, are you taking part in the upcoming update for the Reddit recommended routine? So I'm not a moderator there anymore, and I'm not in the know about what they're doing behind the works. So it was news to me when they posted that yesterday. So I'm not very involved in it. It might be if I see that there's an opportunity there to clear things up after the foundation is set for it. So it's a maybe. It's nice to see that there's always updates though. So that's cool. Let's see what else. Let me switch to me. You guys could see me. By the way, how's the audio? I'm using a lapel mic. Usually I use like the webcam mic and that sucks. I hope this is better. You guys tell me a little something in chat about the audio and I'll see. Now let's go to the next question. I made the universe for fun. He says, or she says, I've been trying to read a book in bed 30 minutes before bed. Then turn the lights out and sleep. No phones, nothing. It's tough, but I think it's been helping. Absolutely. I think like reading a book or even the Kindle is great because it's very like easy on the eyes. It's probably like the best way I sleep personally. And usually like a book makes me sleepy. Even if it's a good book, after a while I will just get sleepy. I'm in bed, I'm just reading, I'll start dozing off, put the bookmark on and just go to sleep, and I'll sleep like a baby. That is a great thing to do these days. Reading books. Forgotten pastime. um, Mr. Tip Top 10 says, thanks, that's inspiring. Comparing the flexibility with strength training, yes. What are the best things to do or focus on to get us mentally through COVID, anxiety, and lockdowns? So a little bit about what I said earlier about how I personally find myself, like basically I have to get out. I have to exercise in some way. Okay? The human body is not meant to be sedentary, and humans are also social creatures. So if we can't socialize right now with COVID-19, all over the place, right? But you can socialize with people you are very close with. And I think that's what this year has taught us. Who are our real friends? Because we have to be very picky and choosy with who we hang out with physically, it really has helped us to understand who we want to hang out with, who is worth the risk, and who are the people who are my go-to friends. It could be just one friend, it could be like two friends, whatever, or your family members, right? Like, who are those people that you can socialize with, and just maintain that intimate circle with your friends. And also find ways to exercise every day. It doesn't have to be brute strength training every day. It could be like strength training one day. It could be riding a bike another day. It could be doing an online yoga class another day. But something like that to keep the body busy and active is super helpful, alongside with a little bit of meditation and 10 minutes, 20 minutes of doing nothing, absolutely nothing. It might seem like a waste of time, but it's actually probably the best time spent. Okay, think about like your dog or your pet. If you have a dog or pet, you don't need to have one to understand. What are they doing most of the time? They're just chilling, doing nothing. Okay? And once in a while, they stretch when they feel like it. They'll roll around on the floor on a whim without really overthinking it and just start stretching. You should be like them. Model yourself after pets and animals because they're actually very in tune with their selves. So, they just do whatever they want. And a lot of times they do nothing. And that is like a forgotten art form in itself. Okay? um, uh, Thank you about saying, thank you to the Universe for Fun for saying sorry about your dog. Um, just know that you've each enriched each other's lives. Yes, we have. Um, I wanted to ask if you plan to do stuff on rehab, especially for the knee or the back. So, suggesting things specifically for rehab, it's very difficult and borderline dangerous to just give blanket recommendations to issues of like your knee or your lower back, because one thing might work very well for one person, but it doesn't mean it's universally going to work for you. And I have like a video on like how to fix tennis elbow, because like I know it's a more simpler issue, for example, but the knee is more complex. The lower back, even upper back, they're more complex. You really should see a physiotherapist for your specific issues. And if this is about your health, like this is about your body, there is no um, there's no like, you shouldn't let like money deter you from going to rehab. Okay, there this should be a priority because your body and your health are number one. Okay, and in regards to health and COVID, my uncle passed away 2 weeks ago from COVID-19. So that was like pretty crazy. The funeral was just a few days ago, and he was very overweight and unhealthy. So he was in that demographic where he was the most susceptible or vulnerable to the infection if he got it, and he did end up getting it. And very sad and sudden, and overall, like it's very sad because he was in the hospital and none of his family members could see him. Uh, on his last, on his last days of life, it's a very sad situation, and the nurse is the only one that could see these people. And I have a friend who's a nurse and who works with COVID patients, and she's actually developed a form of a PTSD because she's dealt with countless patients who are dying, and she's the only person that can console them and be with them, and they're strangers, and the family's not allowed to see them. So why did I say this? Because your health is the most important thing. I don't care if you're a millionaire, billionaire, it doesn't. When you die, life is over. I don't know what you think about afterlife. It's irrelevant. This life is what we have right now, and that's all we know. Okay? If someone knows about the afterlife, okay, fine. Have they been there? I don't know. Whatever. I'm not going to get into religion and all that shit. But health is the most important thing. Take care of yourselves. If you're overweight, if you're obese, please find ways to manage portion control. Raise your consciousness levels about how much you're actually eating. Start moving. Don't do high impact exercise. Do some low impact walking, bicycling, something gentle. Swimming if you have access to a swimming pool is great. Anyway, take care of yourselves. Um, yeah. So back to the chat. Let's see if there's anything else. What are some books you recommend for calisthenics in everyday life? The only book that I really recommend, which is more like the Bible of calisthenics, is a book called Overcoming Gravity. And it's in the YouTube description. It should be in the description of this video and somewhere in the lower part of the description. It's called Overcoming Gravity. And it's like a thick book of like literally everything you'd ever want to know about body weight exercises and progressions and creating routines and form of structure. But in regards to a book for everyday life, I don't know. That's like there's a lot of books for that. It's a little too general. Do I have an opinion on the Wim Hof breathing method? I just remembered I saw a video about it today and wondered what you could say about it or what you would say about it. So the only I've done the breathing method, and I find that after like just a few days of doing it, I'm able to hold my breath for a very long time. Now, if that's like what you're after, it could be really good. And it's an interesting thing. I don't have too much more experience with it other than that. But really, if find any breathing technique and just use that as a meditation, and you're gonna be worlds clearer and in a better mindset than most of the people out there. Okay? Yeah. I'm sorry to hear about your uncle. Thank you. Steve says I'm not taking that vaccine. Never. So in regards to the vaccine, listen. So when the coronavirus came out, my friend who is in the pharmaceutical world said that ethically, legally, and ethically, there shouldn't be a vaccine until fall 2021, which is still like, like 10 months away. So the fact that there's a vaccine out 10 months earlier than what would normally pass the scientific, data and research that needs to be done is a little scary. And I'm personally not going to be taking that vaccine right now because I'm not in the demographic where I'm going to die if I even get it, or if I got it and I don't even know. I haven't gotten sick in years. So, I mean, I don't even get the common cold. Like, it's been so long. I don't know when the last time I got it. I'm always able to just nip it in the bud. And so I would wait on the vaccine until there's more data, much more data on what are the side effects like, because it is experimental, it is rushed, it is an emergency order. And now I'm not like anti-vaccine this, anti-vaccine that. I'm not like this black and white human being who thinks all things this way are bad or all things this are good. Every vaccine has its different manufacturers. Different manufacturers have different data on on the on what the results are like, how people are affected adversely, all that stuff. Anyway, um, I know it's a very controversial issue, and I know that if like technically 70% of the population takes the vaccine, we will have broad immunity and we won't have an issue with the virus. But it's still very early. It's probably best to wait on the vaccine if you're not the kind of person who needs it right away. Like if you're a nurse and you're exposed to COVID-19 every day, maybe it's good, you know? There's also some weird stuff like politically, like right when the virus approval came out, the news reported that all the ex-presidents like Obama, George Bush, and whatever, they're all going to be taking the vaccine just to prove that, hey, we're going to do it too, it's safe. But I mean, this happened in Germany in 2009 when the H1N1 virus came out and the vaccine came out for it. The politicians said, hey, we're going to do it too, see, it's safe. But what actually happened is all the politicians got a vaccine made by a different manufacturer that was more expensive and had much less side effects. So, you know, maybe Pfizer has a vaccine, maybe Moderna has a vaccine, and maybe they're similar, maybe they're not. And these details are interesting to me because there's always, like, I don't easily trust everyone. So you have to do your own research. And the issue is not everyone is capable of doing accurate research. And the truth is it's constantly changing with different people. And most people are not able to get at the truth. And if you're not sure what to do, do nothing. You know, that's like a good advice in general until you can figure it out, right? So, you know, Stephen says, "Oh, a book on self-improvement." That's still a little vague. Yeah, I don't know if I have anything concrete to say for that. Second here. Yeah. And where can I find bodyweight workouts that require no equipment? All the ones I find require some type of. That's because the ones that don't require any equipment are not well-rounded routines. You cannot do any pulling work. Basically, so with bodyweight exercises, you have pushing exercises where you're pushing your body away from gravity, like your push-ups, handstand push-ups, these dips. You know, these are pushing exercises. And pushing exercises can be done without equipment, right? Like you only need a wall for handstand push-ups. You don't need anything for regular push-ups. However, when it comes to pulling exercises, let me go back one sec. So pushing exercises work the front of your body, your chest, the front of your shoulders, and your triceps a bit, right? Now, pulling exercises are the counterparts to the pushing. And that's anything where you're pulling your body in toward you, like pull-ups, rows, and these train the upper back, the biceps, the back of the shoulder, and so they are a good counterpart to the pushing work. And you have to have you cannot really do any pulling work without some sort of either like a pair of rings or a pull-up bar to do rows or pull-ups or their, progressions or regressions. So it's best to put the money in, get a pull-up bar, get a doorway pull-up bar, or get a pair of rings, or just find a way to create some sort of way to do a pulling exercise in your home or right outside your home or the local park or what have you. Because that's really the best way to strength train with bodyweight exercises. Because if you're going to do a bunch of burpees, you're going to do a bunch of mountain climbers, you're going to do like hundreds of reps of crunches, and I don't know, like those are not going to get you very far. And you're not going to be able to train your upper back very well at all without some sort of pulling exercises, and that requires equipment. Okay? So I hope that clarifies things a bit. And let's go to the next question. Violetta says, do you have any recommendations for people with calcific tendonitis on the shoulders in terms of flexibility and strength exercises? It's healed now, but I'm scared it doesn't come back. Okay. Keep doing whatever you were doing for rehabilitating that. Let's say your rehab for getting rid of that shoulder issue was doing a bunch of light band work with the resistance band. Keep doing that in your daily routine, or frequently, let's say multiple times a week. Keep doing that band work that that healed your shoulders and kept them healthy, just to keep them healthy. Okay, that's the best advice I can give you. And that will help build the confidence and build the neural connections that every time you're moving your body, every time you're moving your shoulder, that it's not in pain. So if you do that, that would be great. Okay, so let's see. What's your opinion on eating raw liver? So I've never tried raw liver. I don't know if I would. I like, regular cooked liver and onions. It's okay. It's not like my favorite food or anything, but it is affordable, and I don't know why I would eat it raw. That sounds like could be dangerous. So like whenever it comes to raw meat and raw meat of any sort, I don't know what the benefit is really. You're just exposing yourself to microorganisms that are potentially harmful. And fire kills them, heat kills them. So, fire is a good invention. Fire is a good thing that we figured out. I don't think you need to go raw on everything, right? So, that's my response to that, Paul. Aziz asks, can I use the RR through all of my journey? Yes, you can. It's a very strong routine that can keep you busy for a lifetime. Maybe, most of your lifetime, until you figure out what else you want to do, or by then you know. So Benjamin asks, if I'm a teen, is there anything I should change from the recommended routine or your hypertrophy routine to stay as safe as possible? No, I think you should be fine. Just in general, make sure your form is good. Take a video of yourself doing every exercise once in a while. Maybe in the first month, take frequent videos of yourself, and like as you're resting in between sets, like review the video and look how your form looks. And keep cleaning up your form. And as your form gets better, maybe your reps, maybe you're not able to do as many reps because now you're doing a fuller range of motion or something like that. And that's normal. Sometimes you feel like you're not progressing, but really you are, and your form is progressing. And just be very self-aware of how your body is responding. So like it's normal to have soreness in all the muscles, right? Biceps, like the muscle belly, right? So like in the actual muscles themselves, it's normal to have muscle soreness sometimes. But it's not normal to have soreness in the joints. So like the wrists don't have much muscle. The wrists are controlled by the muscles here. So if you ever get soreness here, that's usually fine. If you get soreness here, it's a joint. It's not fine. If you get soreness in the elbow, it's not fine. If you get soreness on the inner side of the elbow, it's not fine. If you get soreness on the triceps or the biceps that control the elbow, fine. If you get inside the shoulder, so you have muscles all around the shoulder, but if you get an impingement feeling deep inside the socket, that's not right. Same for the chest. It's normal to have some sort of soreness for the chest, but the sternum, the breastbone right here, is hard, right? It's a hard bone. These are like tendons and ligaments that connect to the chest. If you get soreness there, that's not right. So or your knee is a good example. It's normal to have soreness of your thighs, hamstrings, calves, but in the knee, any sort of pain in the knee or the ankle, those are joints and ligaments mostly there. So that's not normal. And so if you ever feel any sort of pain and you want and longevity is your goal, meaning you want to work out for as long as possible and be as healthy as possible, then you need to be just be aware of joint pains. Once some joint pain starts, it's already a red flag that some damage is already done and you need to back off. And backing off for 2 weeks is much better than just working through the pain and and the pain gets worse and now you have to take months off. So just always be aware of that. That's like the best thing I could say in terms of your general question there. So that's let's move on. Should I go for the first? What's to say? Ozzy says for the first year, do the basics, even if it gets easy. So you're asking, should you keep the exercises basic even after it gets easy? No, you should keep making things harder. Make things challenging. Challenges are good. Okay? Don't make things too hard. Don't make things too easy. And as things get easy, move on to a slightly harder progression. Okay? And if you're not sure where to go, maybe I can help you. Maybe you can. Why is this not? Huh. Okay. All right. So yeah, that's all I gotta say. You don't need to keep things easy. Just keep doing it. Make them harder. Add the weight. How do you tell when to stop a set? Do you go to exhaustion or until that sharp acid feeling in the muscles? What if you're getting winded before the muscles tired? So it depends on like what what the program you're doing with is. Like you should have like a goal. Like like it depends what the structure of your routine is. So if your goal is to do 3 sets of 8 reps of an exercise, you have to do the right intensity level, you have to choose the right intensity that gets you there. And you should usually stop 1 rep shy of form failure. So you don't need to go to absolute failure. Once your form, if you know the next rep, your form is probably going to be shit, just stop right there. Okay? And so that's usually when I will stop. And you'll only feel that, the lactic acid buildup whenever you're doing something that's more reliant on endurance and cardio. And that's okay to feel. You can work through that. Not a great feeling, but good afterwards when you stop. And yeah, so it really depends on what your thing is, like what your program is, and what it's calling for. But yeah, do you think the RR is efficient for the long term? Yes, absolutely. Regarding the raw, I think you also absorb less nutrients from foods since they are harder to digest. Yeah, I think it's much easier for a lot of foods, like raw eggs, for example. You have much more bioavailability of the amino acids if you cook your eggs. So like, sure, you might feel like a badass, you know, like cracking an egg in a cup and just drinking it down. But it's actually you get more out of it if you cook it. So I mean, same thing probably for the meats, and not just like forget the bioavailability in general. You know, you don't want to get like trichinosis or any like nasty bacteria or uh, some microbe that can hurt you and cause like sepsis or something, you know, whatever. Anyway, cook your foods, guys. Like this whole raw shit is like people go extreme with their diets. Let's just say that. Okay? Like people do like complete 180 turns and like do unsustainable things. Like we don't have to completely change our ways. Do little changes in your life that have a big effect, right? It's kind of like the notion of working smarter, not harder. And what's the best way to do that is by find the smallest change you can make that can have the biggest impact. And just keep making these few small changes that have big impacts. And all of a sudden, just from a few changes, you've made a big enough impact without having to make a huge change, right? So anyway, any super training advice for getting to the point where I can start lifting my feet in the handstand press? There are kind of a no in between progressions. Makes training for them for it seem so hopeless. So two things. Shoulder strength helps a lot. So like the more your shoulders can lean forward in during a handstand press, the more uh, that means your shoulders can handle the press motion itself. And then the other, maybe even the more important thing, is the flexibility. So if you're trying to do a pike press with your legs straight, or a straddle press with your legs in a straddle on the floor and you're trying to press up, if you're doing the pike press, you need like very good pike flexibility, meaning like the ability to keep your legs straight and do a forward fold, right? If you're doing the straddle press, you need to have a really good pancake split, meaning if you're sitting on the floor and your legs are apart, can you bring your chest down to the floor? If you can't, and you work on that, and eventually you can bring your chest to the floor, then you might find that the straddle press handstand unlocks itself automatically. Why? Because you actually need to lean the shoulders forward a lot less. So you actually end up needing a lot less strength when you have the flexibility to do that handstand press. Okay? So, and Emmett Lewis, I think on Tom Merrick's channel, if you type like ballistic pancake Emmett Lewis, those words come to mind. Ballistic pancake Emmett Lewis. I believe there's a video on Tom Merrick's channel where he goes through a pancake split. It's like a very good progression for getting the pancakes, for example. Okay, so I would recommend you go for that in terms of efficient. You know, work on the flexibility and the strength at the same what do you think of Tom Merrick's middle split loaded mobility routine? Oh, I don't know it specifically. Sorry, Aziz. If I knew it right off the top of my head, I would tell you, but I'm sure it's good. Tom Merrick makes good stuff. He doesn't post bullshit, so it's probably good. And yeah. Any advice on dealing with tendinosis in the shoulders? What band exercises would you recommend? What band exercises I would recommend is any and all that do not hurt the shoulders, but allow you to move the shoulder. So I know that sounds like, you know, sounds like I'm not saying much. I'm not going to say exactly which shoulder exercise you can do because I don't know which ones can hurt you. But really, that's the way to go. And if you go to a physical therapist, they're going to go through these different exercises and see what works, what aggravates it, and avoid the ones that aggravate, and then create a plan that works, that keeps the shoulders moving that don't hurt it. Okay, so that's really the way it goes. Um, Overcoming gravity suggests to progress to the L-sit with the hands backwards. I cannot achieve a clean one with hands forward. Should I progress with hands backwards? So it's not necessary to do it with hands backwards. It's a little unnecessary. It's really a good thing to train if you're going to train for the mana, which is very advanced. And if you're having trouble with the regular L-sit, just do it with the hands forward. Okay? And you can also, you don't have to go like completely hands forward and then backwards. You can try like hands sideways as an interim progression. I find that the hands backward version requires much more active hip flexion. And it's a bit harder. So don't do the harder thing first. So go for the clean L-sit with the hands forward. Robert says, I'm struggling doing single leg exercises. I just get really wobbly and lose my balance really quickly. For example, doing single legged Romanian deadlifts. Any way I can improve my balance? Um, so just like I would recommend whenever you're like having an issue with an exercise, the form of it, choose a weight that's lighter than you want, basically. Just step things back a little bit, just to make them less difficult, and try to focus on a lot of reps. Like instead of doing 3 sets of 8, try to aim for like 3 sets of 12 with good form. Because what needs to happen is that you need to get used to this exercise. There's a lot of proficiency and skill with these simple exercises, as you've noticed. And really just be mindful and conscious and just try to do your best form possible and do as many reps as you can with a lighter weight or lighter intensity. And eventually it will be easier. Now, when it comes to the Romanian deadlift, the single leg, your shoes can make a big difference. The floor, if it's a if it's a soft, squishy floor, it could be throwing you off. If you're flat-footed and you're barefoot, it might be throwing you off. There's all sorts of issues. Just do not give up. Whatever I say, do not give up. Just do the exercise as much as you can until you gain that movement pattern, gain that proficiency in executing the exercise before you can make it harder. Okay? Billy says, Mana is an end goal of mine, so L-sit hand backwards seems more appropriate, but I cannot achieve one. Yes. So, Billy, were you the one who was asking about? Yes, you were the one asking about the L-sit before. Yeah. So, Mana eventually, so like, don't worry about the Mana right now. Get a clean L-sit. Maybe work on the V-sit or the tucked V-sit after you gain a clean L-sit. And then start working on the mana progressions. And I would recommend the middle split holds. And there's a good thread on that. You can email me if you have issues with mana. Just go to my website, antranik.org, and then go about contact. Just do the contact me thing, and you could email me like that easily if you have any more issues with the mana or in the future. So, so we're almost at the end of the questions. If you have any more, I'm going to end the stream probably in like 10-15 minutes since I've been talking so much. And I'm going to answer a couple more questions and then cut it out. Thank you all for joining me, by the way. It's an honor. And so I'm reading through your blog post from the beginning. When you started tracking calories, a few months in, you switched to keto. Do you think that's optimal? Can I just eat normally but count calories? Yeah, absolutely. You could just don't make drastic changes. Switching to a keto diet is a drastic change. So what did I say earlier? Make the smallest change possible that gives the biggest reward. So simply reducing the number of calories, like or counting your calories and just adhering to that is a very significant change that can be enough to lose the weight. And I didn't just switch to keto after a few months. I switched after a long time, actually. I counted my calories for like years. And then I switched to different diets and tried different things. Ultimately, what matters most is the eating less calories than you need. And, if you eat out at all or get takeout, usually those foods, like one entree is like a lot of calories. And splitting that food with your partner or your family is a much better way to go. So just be mindful of the portions. The portions are what get you. Eat until you're like, you feel a little bit of fullness, and then just push it away. You don't have to finish what's on your plate. Let's see. How long should I train overhead shoulder mobility? That's a good question. I would do overhead mobility training until you have a very straight handstand against the wall, at least. So, like, basically, you want to have this openness. So, like, well, a lot of people, let me see if you could see, a lot of people will stop, or maybe not even there. They'll be like here, like when they're in a handstand, they cannot do this. They they stop like there because their shoulder mobility doesn't exist to go that way. But if you do, if you're able to go until you're vertical, that's a pretty good goal for overhead shoulder mobility. And then it's very easy to maintain that. But some people struggle with it a lot. Some take years. Some have very good shoulder mobility right off the bat. So I don't know what your issue is, but yeah, that's a good goal. And it will also help your downward dog in yoga because it will be like the same. It's like your downward dog will be here instead of like stuck there. So how long does it take to learn the L sit and the planche hold? L sit can take if your hamstring flexibility is good, then if your hamstring flexibility is good, maybe you can learn the L-sit very fast in a few days or a few weeks. If your hamstring flexibility is so bad that you cannot touch your toes with straight legs, then it will take a much longer time because you're missing the flexibility component and probably the strength component. So those two things need to work together. So it's hard to say when you will achieve them. And in regards to the planche could take years. Planche could take 4 to 8 years, depending on your height and weight. So doing a full planche is out of reach for many people, and especially if you're very tall. But a lot of people achieve the straddle planche. Full planche might be out of line, but maybe the straddle planche is somewhere in your future. So don't think about too much about how long it takes something. If it's a challenge that you enjoy, if it's a goal you like, work toward it because eventually you'll get there. Okay? And if you're enjoying the process, it's not always going to be enjoyable. It's going to be frustrating sometimes, but it's going to be that much more rewarding when you get there. Because like you're going to be able to do something most people can't, and it's going to be very obvious when you could do it easily. People are going to be like, wow, you could do that. Or they might not care. You just have to do it for your own self. Okay? So if it's a goal of yours and you enjoy that move, keep working toward it. I personally don't care too much for the planche. I like the front lever. Okay? I would love to do a front lever. And I'll just work toward that for however long it takes to get there. And I don't really care how long it takes. Because I have hopefully a nice long life ahead of me, and just keep having fun. So let's see. Yeah, interesting. Good to know. I recently ordered a meal from a restaurant and counted everything and found out it was like 2,000 calories exactly. When you eat out, when you do takeout, like A lot of times that one entree is like, could be like 1600 calories. It's like, if you're a woman, right? You're like 1600 calories could be like the meal, like could be the amount you're supposed to eat for the whole day, not one meal, right? Maybe for some men, it's like maybe 2000 calories. They run into the same issue. If you eat out a lot, like you need to be aware that these foods, they're giving you more than you need usually at the restaurant, because no one wants to order something from a restaurant and like, eat the main meal and then still feel hungry. No restaurant wants their customer to experience that. So what do they give you? They give you more than what is probably enough, so that you end up feeling very satisfied, satiated. But what the problem is, if you're not aware that this is more than what you need and you keep overeating, the next thing you know, 5 years have gone by and you're like huge. And you're like, how did I get so fat? I mean, and it doesn't have to be just from eating out. It could be from eating at home. Eating French fries all the time. You can make French fries at home, just like it takes longer, but you can make French fries at home and get fat that way too. So, yeah. Oh, I got a smart chat thing. Thank you, Billy. He says, thank you for everything. You are a very down to earth person and helpful. Really one of the top fitness internet personalities. Thank you, Billy. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time on Antranik. Thank you as well. I made the universe for fun. I like your name. And Aziz asks, is handstand and LSIT good for beginners? Yeah, I think they're good. LSIT is a very good beginner, is a very good goal for a beginner. And handstand, so handstand is a very fun exercise. So it could keep you very motivated. And even though you might not get a freestanding handstand very soon, it could take a long time, it's still a very good exercise. The only problem when you're a beginner and you're working on handstands is if your wrists are weak and inflexible, eventually you might find that your wrists start to hurt before your muscles are tired in the handstand. So just be aware of that. Sometimes you might have to take a break from the handstand until your wrists feel normal again, because sometimes like your wrists feel sore. And wrist mobility work is going to be very important when you're working on a handstand. Do not neglect wrist warm-ups and wrist mobility. And after a few years, eventually your wrists will be very strong. If your wrists are very strong to begin with, great. You might not have that issue. So I've been streaming for about an hour and a half now, and I'm gonna cut it here, guys. Thank you everyone for joining me. I really enjoyed this live stream. And if you haven't seen my latest videos, I mean, just go to antranik.org and then just go down to watch my latest videos, and you might find something, or my latest blog posts, and you might find enjoyable things there. And I thank you for watching, and thank you for the questions. It's been very good. I find that it's been very fruitful, right? You guys stay healthy and strong, all right? Oh, by the way, I was gonna say stay safe out there, but every time I've called any customer service rep for any issue, I'm on the phone, they all end it with stay safe out there. It's like, okay, guys, whatever. It's become regurgitated so many times now. It's like it's too much. All right, guys. Anyway, cutting the stream here, guys. Thanks again, and have a great rest of your weekend.